The first thing we need to do in building a resilient lower back is getting the right muscles activated at the right time. Now, most people think we need to get the muscles of the lower back activated, and that can be useful, but what's more useful is if we activate the muscles of the upper back, the muscles of the hips, and the muscles of the torso. So all the muscles around it. So what we're then able to do is spread load all around it. So how do we do that? Well, the first exercise is very simple. We're going to go down into a bird dog, and what we're going to do, because this covers quite a lot of bases, then we're going to look at two more which sort of isolate this off a little bit. So we're going to come down into this position, and we're going to lift an arm, and we're going to lift a leg. Now what's this doing? This is essentially activating many of the muscles that we want to activate. So when we lift the leg up, we activate the glute muscle. Obviously when we lift the other leg up, we activate the other glute muscle. So these are two very effective muscles to get active if we want a resilient lower back. So we need to get the glutes firing properly. You can also go around into glute medius, glute minimus. That's going to be helpful as well. But just for this, I want you to understand that rather than just focusing on the lower back muscles, focus on all the muscles that are around it as well. When we come back into this position, we just take the arm. What are we doing there? Well, what we're starting to do here is starting to activate the muscles of the mid-back, so the longissimus and the iliocostalis. As we come into this position, they activate, and again, that's holding up the lower back. They've got a much longer lever arm, which makes them a much more effective low back stabilizing muscle, albeit they are of the mid-back. So we've got those muscles. What we've also got, if we pack the shoulder, we've also got the lats involved in that as well. So with the big latissimus dorsi here that goes down and attaches into the thoracolumbar fascia, and we'll talk more about that as we go through. But the bird dog is a very effective exercise to get all those muscles working across the back, and you can do it in that sort of diagonal type of sling, type of chain of muscles as well. So it integrates a lot of muscles together. You could even take it a step further and say you're getting a little bit of internal external oblique, because again we're lifting up limbs on either side of the body, so these muscles have to work as well. So all of these muscles are kind of involved at a lowish level during the bird dog. If we want to take it up a notch and take it up a level, we can start to isolate. So the second exercise is very simply, it's a bridge. So we come into this position, turn the abs on, up, squeeze the hips. So what we're starting to do here is now starting to isolate a little bit more the glute muscles, squeezing them together, potentially overly squeezing them, but we've also got abs involved as well. So we've got front and back, again helping support what the lower back wants to do and making it much more resilient to everyday life, to exercise, to sport, to whatever it may be that we're doing. So we've got the bridge, we've got the bird dog, and we've got the bridge. The bridge is now starting to isolate some of the muscles that we were starting to introduce with the bird dog, which is kind of the jack of all trades, if you will. Now we're starting to look on to more specific exercises, which are starting to integrate more specific muscles. The third exercise is a side plank. Now again, we can start in the kneeling position, and I'll explain why we're using a side plank when we come on to the progression in the next part of the tutorial. But we come into this position, but what we can do here is we can get lats working, because I'm just pushing this shoulder down. Again, this is supporting the strength, holding myself up here. But also, we've got all of these muscles, internal, external obliques working. Eventually, we'll start talking about, they are working, the glute medius, glute minimus, but we'll talk about how we can access them a little bit more. But for now, sort of the first part that we need to be able to build a resilient back is get the right muscles working at the right time, which means getting all the muscles around the lower back to work as well, because they help the muscles of the lower back do their job much more effectively. Because they are very small muscles, they aren't very good at being strength muscles, if you will, whereas these slightly bigger muscles are much better at being strength muscles, which allow you to build a more resilient back because it can cope with so much more, because so many more muscles are working and so many more bigger muscles are working as well.